a voice. Everybody seems to know that I've got a voice. To me, I'm just
Wow.
me.
You're just somebody else who can open his mouth. Well, alhamdulillah, you inspire us when you do so, right?
Yeah,
So we want to
alhamdulillah.
talk to you about that. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes to talk about the 23rd Street Mosque, and we wanted to ask you. So it exists in Fietas page view, feed it up, right? But when did that
Uh,
mosque start? I mean, and that's what I'm interested in, the history. When did that mosque start, and how did it start, and why?
wow, that's before our time. Uh, I am 84 years old, and it was before my time. So most of the people that should know about it is, I would say, more on cruises and Avalon and so forth. But it started before us. It was known when we came about. We heard about uh, the ground has been given to us and our people, and they started burning like a shack. They call it the Blackest Masjid. But that was before our time. Now that is how it started. Our starting point was on when we came into life, and the year was the masjid. It was our masjid. It was already uh, reconstructed, and it was a building now. That's all I know about it. So other than that, it's just hearsay about we how it came about and the old people what they did. They you want like Cape Townians.
Yeah.
They just got together and they started building. There were a lot of builders, Muslim builders in Fietas,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they started
Mhm.
building on it. But that is before my time.
Okay, but I mean, so from the hearsay that you've heard about, right? So when
Yeah.
what year did it become this building that you talk about, like a proper building that we can now recognize as a
Well,
masjid? Yeah.
there was a sign on the madrasa.
Mm.
1889, somewhere there. Yeah,
Wow. So I mean, that's over 100 and or like 130 odd years.
something like that.
Sure. And how much do you know about? I mean, what you were told about the people who started. I mean, do you know names of? Because then they obviously had to have a committee, and there must have been a first imam. Uh, do you
Yeah.
know much about that?
Yeah. No, not really. We like yesterday, we got to have heard about, I can say, they call him Imam Sirai, then there was Imam Ismail Japri, that I know about because that was in our time. But before our time, no, yeah, they would talk about it, but we never took notice of it. And we just accepted, okay, this is our masjid and that's our imam and so forth. So the imams that I know of was Imam Ismail, Yapi, and Imam Pisanghi. I don't know if you heard of Imam Pisanghi.
I
That was
certainly
in our
have. Yeah, I do. Well, I know his
time.
daughter. I know Nazli, so I would know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And your thoughts. I mean, you're currently based in El Dorado Park. I know, right? Your thoughts
Yeah.
of the importance of a mosque when a masjid is set up. How important is that masjid besides prayer, in terms of that being like the focal point or the rallying point of a community?
With us, everything. 23rd Street Masjid was just about for everything. Gatherings and maulid and hadas and everything. Even when there's a decision to be made, the committee or the imam, they would now send out the messages, this has been done, that has been done, and so forth. The masjid in 23rd Street was really the center point for the Malay community. Some were
Mm.
staying Fietas, Fortsburg, Albertville, Nuclear, but everybody linked themselves up with the 23rd Street Masjid. That was really nice. That was really
And
central.
and now, I mean, do you have a connection with that masjid, considering that you live far away?
We have no connection, none whatsoever. We were.
Imam, are
I
you still
wasn't
there?
put out. I remember that
We just
time they put
lost him.
the people out. I was already out.
Probably may have
But
lost him just that second. Yeah.
yes, that was
Well,
our
if we
central
do,
point.
that's a pity. But I mean, I think you got the gist of what we're talking about. That so he was not directly involved. I mean, there's a lot of hearsay that he's heard, but clearly very aware that that mosque was set up by the Malay Muslim community in Johannesburg, and for a long period, long before many of the other mosques set up, it was the focal point of a community, which is over what I got my maths wrong, over 120 years or 30 years. It's an incredible story. And maybe we need to find out more even about the mosque, about the actual trustees and who did what along that line. So we did talk about something about in Ramadan, what do you need to know about the who, what, when, where about Ramadan, particularly about some advice. But before I get to that, I thought just something interesting from a South African perspective. So you may be aware of the Grammy Awards, and interesting that Black Coffee winning his Grammy for the best dance album, and that's just one thing. But then you got the same Grammy Awards was hosted by Trevor Noah, made in South Africa, and the goodie bags, the fabulous goodie bags, which showed some great socks, and they're all very colorful, were put together by Skinny Cebu. It's like, how's that for a hat trick of South Africa? And as someone who thrives on trying to amplify the champions in our country, in our nation, well, there's just one example of that. Okay, what about the know or the how-to around explaining Ramadan to people who are not of the Islamic faith? Right after this.
Well, it truly was a central point. Like in Ramadan, people used to send the kids to the masjid to wait there. There was no PA system at that time. So what happened, we were playing around there until the Muslim came about and he gave us a signal, it's now time. And everybody, all the kids will run home, running from 23rd Street, 22nd, 21st, and so forth upwards. And that was the norm of 23rd Street Masjid. Hello? Ashram?
Rasulullah, Rasulullah, Rasulullah.